It's now Friday afternoon. I've been at this pretty much all week. I finally got everything reorganized and cleaned up again. So I'll take you around the shop to show you what I did. One of the first things that I did was move the tool board to the back wall, as you saw previously. A little bit of an adventure, but no harm done. I have a tendency to do those kinds of things. Sometimes I weigh the time it would take to unload all of this board, and then the time it would take to put everything back and say, well, is it worth the risk of moving it the way I did? And everybody knows the answer to that. So the workbench is up here too, and I think this is a better place altogether for both of these things. They're right at the end of the shop and fit in there nice and neatly. To make way for the tool board, I moved the drill press cabinet to this wall over here. I had to leave it high on the wall, but not too high because of the outlet that's right beneath it. I also moved the compressor to this corner. It used to be in the opposite corner down near the garage door. The drill press has been moved. I think this is a better place for it overall, better lighting, also more convenient to use. Right next to that is the bandsaw. I still have to move it down a couple inches, but right now it's in a way more convenient place. I can cut longer stock without moving it out into the room. Originally I was going to move the lathe to the front wall, but changed my mind on that. This is a seldom used tool for me, and I figured that this was the best place to put it, tucked in here below the clamp rack. Speaking of the clamp rack, I didn't move that. I also didn't move the router bit cabinet, the dado blade cabinet, or the heated cabinet. These are all in the original place. On the opposite wall, I had to move this cabinet down about 4 feet, along with the chop saw station and the planer stand to accommodate the sanding table that I put in here. The sanding table was on the front wall, but it was constantly collecting junk because I guess it was out of the way. You couldn't see it in a lot of the shots in the camera, so I didn't bother cleaning it up too much. Now I have the top freed up, at least to the point where I only got 2 tools on here, my belt sander platform and my 1-inch belt sander, disc sander right here. If I need to use the surface, all I need to do is take those 2 tools off and I can start sanding on there. I moved the table saw to a more central location. It's directly below this light fixture to give me better lighting. I have ample room behind it and in front of it to make long rip cuts. My little outfeed stand is still here, even though I don't use the grinder very often at all. Another big change is that I took out the garage door that was dark and dirty and covered the opening with new OSB that I primed and painted to match the rest of the shop. Speaking of paint, I also repainted all of the walls in the shop. This is something I talked about before, but I figured since I've got everything moved out of the way, I might as well go ahead and do it now. My steel lumber rack is over in the corner now, out of the way. I still need to gut that out and take some of the stuff out of there that I don't need, but right now it's okay. And even though I cleaned out the shed, I didn't bring the lumber out. Instead, I put it on the front wall here. I'll leave the majority of this here since it's really not in the way of anything. When I got everything sorted out, I saw that I had a little bit of space here, so I figured it was a good idea to bring in my steel top table. It's been in my shed for the past 2 years, but I figure I've got the space for it now. I also got some open floor space here that I can do some fairly good-sized metalworking projects. As you can see, attached to the top is my steel vise, so I won't have to do any metalworking projects over on my woodworking bench anymore. So some fairly big changes, as you can see. I like this layout a lot better. I find that it's a lot less cramped. Before I wrap this one up, I just like to let people know that the t-shirts that were for sale last month are for sale again. Apparently there were a few people that wanted to get it after it was done and the sale started up. I'll have a link in the description if you want one. To those of you that have already bought one, my sincere thanks. The support is greatly appreciated. As usual, I hope you like this one, and thanks for watching.